Matthew chapter 28. Now after Shabbat, as it began to dawn on the first day of the week, Miriam of Magdala and the other Miriam came to look at the tomb. And suddenly there was a great earthquake, for an angel of Adonai descended from heaven and came and rolled back the stone and sat on it. His appearance was like lightning, and his clothing as white as snow. And those keeping watch were shaken for fear of him and became like dead men. But the angel answered and said to the women, "Do not be afraid, for I know you are looking for Yeshua who was crucified. He is not here, for he is risen, just as he said. Come see the place where he was lying. Go quickly now and tell his disciples that he is risen from the dead. And behold, he's going before you to the Galilee. There you will see him. See, I have told you." They quickly left the tomb with fear yet with great joy and ran to bring news to his disciples. And behold, Yeshua met them. "Shalom," he said. They drew near, grasped his feet, and worshipped him. "Don't be afraid," Yeshua said to them. "Go tell my brothers to head for the Galilee, and there they will see me." Now while they were going, some of the guard came into the city and reported to the ruling Kohanim all that had happened. And when they had assembled with the elders and consulted together, they gave a large sum of silver to the soldiers, saying, "Tell them, his disciples came at night and stole him away while we were sleeping. And if this is heard by the governor, we'll appease him and keep you out of trouble." So the soldiers took the money and did as they were instructed. And this story was spread among the Judeans to this day. Now the 11 disciples went to the Galilee, to the mountain Yeshua had designated. When they saw him, they worshipped, but some wavered. And Yeshua came up to them and spoke to them, saying, "All authority in heaven and on earth has been given to me. Go therefore and make disciples of all nations, immersing them in the name of the Father and the Son and the Ruach HaKodesh, teaching them to observe all I have commanded you. And remember, I am with you always, even to the end of the age." Mark chapter 16. When Shabbat was over, Miriam of Magdala, Miriam the mother of Jacob, and Salome bought spices so that they might come and anoint Yeshua's body. Very early on the first day of the week, when the sun had risen, they came to the tomb. They were saying to each other, "Who will roll away the stone for us from the entrance to the tomb?" Looking up, they see that the stone, it was really huge, had been rolled away. As they entered the tomb, they saw a young man sitting on the right side, dressed in a white robe, and they were startled. But he said to them, "Do not be alarmed. You are looking for Yeshua of Nazareth, who was crucified. He is risen. He is not here. See the place where they put him. But go, tell his disciples and Peter, he is going before you to the Galilee. There you will see him, just as he told you." And going outside, they fled from the tomb, gripped by trembling and amazement. They didn't say anything to anybody, for they were afraid. After he had risen early on the first day of the week, he appeared first to Miriam of Magdala, from whom he had driven out 7 demons. She went and brought word to those who had been with him, while they were mourning and weeping. When they heard that he was alive and had been seen by her, they refused to believe. After that, he appeared in a different form to 2 of them as they were walking on their way to the country. They went and reported it to the rest, but they did not believe them either. Later he appeared to them, the 11, as they were reclining at the table. He rebuked them for their unbelief and hard-heartedness, because they did not believe those who had seen him after he had been raised. He told them, "Go into all the world and proclaim the good news to every creature. He who believes and is immersed shall be saved, but he who does not believe shall be condemned. These signs will accompany those who believe. In my name they will drive out demons. They will speak new languages. They will handle snakes, and if they drink anything deadly, it will not harm them. They will lay hands on the sick, and they will get well." Then the Lord Yeshua, after he had spoken to them, was taken up into heaven and sat down at the right hand of God. And they went out and proclaimed everywhere, the Lord working with them and confirming the word by the signs that follow. Luke chapter 24. Now on the first day of the week, at daybreak, the women came to the tomb, carrying the spices they had prepared. They found the stone had been rolled away from the tomb, but when they entered, they did not find the body of the Lord Yeshua. And while they were perplexed about this, suddenly 2 men in dazzling clothes stood beside them. The women were terrified and bowed their faces to the ground. But the men said to them, "Why do you search for the living among the dead? He is not here, but he is risen. Remember what he told you when he was still in the Galilee, saying that the Son of Man must be delivered into the hands of sinful men and be executed, and on the third day rise up." And they were reminded of his words. And when they returned from the tomb, they told all these things to the 11 and to everyone else. Now it was Miriam from Magdala, Joanna, the Miriam of Jacob, and others together with them who were telling these things to the emissaries. But these words appeared to them as nonsense, and they would not believe them. But Peter got up and ran to the tomb. Leaning in, he sees only the linen cloths, and he went away to his home, marveling at what had happened. Now behold, 2 of them on that very day were traveling to a village named Emmaus, a distance of about 7 miles from Jerusalem. They were speaking with one another about all the things that had been happening. While they were talking and discussing, Yeshua himself approached and began traveling with them. But their eyes were kept from recognizing him. Then he said to them, "What are these things you are discussing with one another as you are walking along?" They stood still, looking gloomy. And the one named Cleopas answered and said to him, "Are you the only one visiting Jerusalem who doesn't know the things that happened there in these days?" Yeshua said to them, "What kind of things?" And they said to him, "The things about Yeshua from Nazareth. He was a prophet, powerful in deed and word before God and all the people. How the ruling Kohanim and our leaders handed him over to be sentenced to death, and they executed him. But we were hoping that he was the one about to redeem Israel. Besides all this, today is the 3rd day since these things happened. But also some women among us amazed us. Early in the morning they were at the tomb. When they didn't find his body, they came, saying that they had also seen a vision of angels who said he is alive. Some of those with us went to the tomb and found it just as the women said, but they did not see him." Yeshua said to them, "O foolish ones, so slow of heart to put your trust in all that the prophets spoke. Was it not necessary for Messiah to suffer these things and to enter into his glory?" Then beginning with Moses and all the prophets, he explained to them the things written about himself in all the scriptures. They approached the village where they were going, and he acted as though he were going farther on. But they urged him, saying, "Stay with us, for it is nearly evening, and the day is already gone." So he went in to stay with them. And it happened that when he was reclining at the table with them, he took the matzah, offered a bracha, and breaking it, gave it to them. Then their eyes were opened, and they recognized him, and he disappeared from them. They said to one another, "Didn't our heart burn within us while he was speaking with us on the road, while he was explaining the scriptures to us?" And they got up at that very hour and returned to Jerusalem. They found the 11 and others with them gathered together, saying, "The Lord is risen indeed. He has appeared to Simon." And they began telling about the events on the road and how he became recognized by them in the breaking of the matzah. While they were speaking of these things, Yeshua himself stood in the midst of them and said, "Shalom Aleichem." But they were startled and terrified, thinking they were seeing a ghost. Then he said to them, "Why are you so shaken? And why do doubts arise in your heart? Look at my hands and my feet. It is I myself. Touch me and see. For a spirit doesn't have flesh and bones, as you see I have." And when he said this, he showed them his hands and his feet. But while they were still in disbelief due to joy and wonder, he said to them, "Do you have anything to eat here?" They gave him a piece of broiled fish, and he took it and ate it in their presence. Then he said to them, "These are my words which I spoke to you while I was still with you, Everything written concerning me in the Torah of Moses and the prophets and the Psalms must be fulfilled." Then he opened their minds to understand the scriptures, and he said to them, "So it is written that the Messiah is to suffer and to rise from the dead on the third day, and that repentance for the removal of sins is to be proclaimed in his name to all nations, beginning from Jerusalem. You are witnesses of these things. And behold, I am sending the promise of my Father upon you. But you are to stay in the city until you are clothed with power from on high." Then Yeshua led them out as far as Bethany, and he lifted up his hands and blessed them. And while blessing them, he departed from them and was taken up into heaven. After worshiping him, they returned to Jerusalem with great joy, and they were continually in the temple praising God. John chapter 20. Early in the morning on the first day of the week, while it is still dark, Miriam from Magdala comes to the tomb. She sees that the stone had been rolled away from the tomb. So she comes running to Simon Peter and the other disciple, the one Yeshua loved. She tells them, "They've taken the Master out of the tomb, and we don't know where they've put him." Then Peter and the other disciple set out, going to the tomb. The two were running together, but the other disciple outran Peter and arrived at the tomb first. Leaning in, he sees the linen strips lying there, but he didn't go in. Then Simon Peter comes following him, and he entered the tomb. He looks upon the linen strips lying there, and the face cloth that had been on his head. It was not lying with the linen strips, but was rolled up in a place by itself. So then the other disciple, who had reached the tomb first, also entered. He saw and believed, for they did not yet understand from Scripture that Yeshua must rise from the dead. So the disciples went back to their own homes. But Miriam stood outside the tomb weeping. As she was weeping, she bent down to look into the tomb. She sees two angels in white sitting, one at the head and one at the feet, where Yeshua's body had been lying. "Woman, why are you crying?" they say to her. She says to them, "Because they took away my master, and I don't know where they've put him." After she said these things, she turned around, and she sees Yeshua standing there, yet she didn't know that it was Yeshua. Yeshua says to her, "Woman, why are you weeping? Who are you looking for?" Thinking he's the gardener, she says to him, "Sir, if you've carried him away, tell me where you've put him, and I will take him away." Yeshua says to her, "Miriam." Turning around, she says to him in Aramaic, "Rabboni," which means teacher. Yeshua says to her, "Stop clinging to me, for I have not yet gone up to the Father. Go to my brothers and tell them, I am going up to my Father and your Father, to my God and your God." Miriam from Magdala comes, announcing to the disciples, "I've seen the Lord," and what he had said to her. It was evening on that day, the first of the week, when the doors were locked where the disciples were, for fear of the Judean leaders. Yeshua came and stood in their midst, and he said to them, "Shalom Aleichem." After he said this, he showed them his hands and his side. Then the disciples rejoiced when they saw the Lord. Yeshua said to them again, "Shalom Aleichem. As the Father has sent me, I also send you." And after he said this, he breathed on them, and he said to them, "Receive the Ruach HaKodesh. If you forgive anyone's sins, they are forgiven, but if you hold back, they are held back." One of the 12, Thomas, called the twin, was not with them when Yeshua came. The other disciples were saying to him, "We've seen the Lord." But he replied to them, "Unless I see the nail prints in his hands, and put my finger into the mark of the nails, and put my hand in his side, I will never believe." 8 days later, the disciples were again inside, and Thomas was with them. Yeshua comes despite the locked doors. He stood in their midst and said, "Shalom Aleichem." Then he said to Thomas, "Put your finger here and look at my hands. Reach out your hand and put it into my side. Stop doubting and believe." Thomas answered and said to him, "My Lord and my God." Yeshua said to him, "Because you have seen me, you have believed? Blessed are the ones who have not seen and yet have believed." Yeshua performed many other signs in the presence of the disciples, which are not written in this book. But these things have been written so that you may believe that Yeshua is Mashiach ben Elohim, and that by believing you may have life in his name.